Hi, my name is Jennifer Carlson, and this is my video journal number 3 for EDAD 610. Um, some of the things that motivate me would be teachers that come to work excited to work, students who feel safe and their environment is safe enough that they want to learn and take a risk, and ultimately perform better. Open communication is incredibly important, healthy collaboration, and buy-in from staff to want to make the school a better place, like continued growth. Some of the questions that were asked in regard to Chapter 8 in the book were what do principals need to understand about my motivations um, in order to persuade me to take on more responsibility for school leadership? My principal needs to know that I'm a team player, and they already do, but that even though I want to do whatever I can to assist whenever there's an area of need, he also can't forget that I don't want to say I'm a workaholic, but that I have a hard time saying no. And so he needs to understand sort of like what boundaries might need to be taken into consideration. So I'm not um, neglecting my other responsibilities. I mean, ultimately, I'm a teacher and I'm here to fulfill that contract. I tend to overwork, and so it's really important for my principal and the other leadership members to assist in allowing me to balance my workload. I understand that that's totally my responsibility and I need to learn how to say no more often, but I just struggle with the idea of letting a program or a person or a student down. For me, it's always been about the students, and so if there's something that's being asked of me that would somehow impact student growth or development, then I have a hard time saying no. I'm not the kind of person who needs like public accolades. They don't need to stand up at a staff development and give me credit for work done. However, it's always nice to get a genuine thank you and credit for the work I've done in a manner that shows appreciation. Um, Nobody wants to work for free or for somebody who's not appreciative of what they're doing. What do principals need to understand about teacher motivation to persuade teachers to build their capacities? Here I would think that principals really need to remember what it's like to be in the classroom. Some have been away from classroom environment for so long that maybe they've lost that mindset. They need to understand the reasons that teachers became teachers. It was for student development. It wasn't necessarily the big picture aspects, but more like day to day, in the moment kind of processing. I do think that principals need to understand and practice the importance of positive encouragement. Not everything should be negative, or dwell on the things that are wrong rather than build up. Um, Nobody should be overloaded with responsibilities. Folks like to take on new challenges, but spreading a teacher too thin and burning them out is just as dangerous as not mentoring a brand new teacher from day one. What might principals do or say to help teachers agree to work on building their professional capacities? Really important for principals, in my opinion, and the leadership staff to be approachable. If I don't feel like I can approach my leadership team, then I'm less likely to want to continue to develop program or policy with them. When communication is available, stronger working relationships can be developed. Without a working relationship, it's really hard to understand what each other's thinking or understand components of the process. It's very much the same as teachers and their students. You can't understand or help a student or a teacher until you've developed that sort of working relationship and you're able to have that deeper understanding of who they are, how they think, what they need, or the concepts of their what motivates them and what drives them. And finally, what should principals avoid doing or saying to avoid undermining teachers' desires to build their capabilities? Administrators should always avoid inactive listening, really not paying attention, like I'm looking at you, or maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm looking at my phone. They're not restating what they've heard. They're not really focused on what you're offering. They're really thinking about the next thing they have to do, or the response to whatever it is you asked 2 seconds ago or 10 seconds ago. They should also avoid invalidating that psychological contract, by sidestepping those explicit questions. And finally, I think it's really important that the leadership allow for some kind of autonomy. Teachers need to have some feeling of ownership of what they're doing, that they're not constantly being dictated to do this, do this, do this, but being allowed the freedom to try new things, flexible seating, a different way of instruction, um, that slight bit of autonomy that's not going to negatively impact instruction or student development. Thanks.